Katt Williams just dropped a bombshell, revealing shocking details about Diddy that no one saw coming, claiming he turned down a $50 million deal to protect himself from the darkest corners of Hollywood. The story takes a wild turn as Joe Rogan and Terrence step in, sharing their own reactions and suggesting there's more truth behind the rumors than anyone would dare to admit. With talk of private industry secrets, mysterious celebrity disappearances, and hidden alliances, this video uncovers what's really going on behind the scenes. Stick around as we break down the explosive claims and give you the full picture. You won't believe what's really happening in Hollywood. For years, people laughed off the rumors. Diddy's wild parties? Just industry fun. His A-list friends? Just normal Hollywood connections. But when lawsuits started rolling in and whispers turned into sworn affidavits, everything changed. Suddenly, those private events didn't look like harmless celebrations. They looked like crime scenes waiting to be exposed. And it was Katt Williams who kicked the doors wide open. In his now viral interview, Katt claimed he turned down $50 million. Not once, but 4 times, just to protect his integrity. And he wasn't subtle. He spoke about protecting his virginity, calling out how some of the most powerful figures in the entertainment world tried to lure him in. "You gotta tell Diddy no," Katt said, and he did. Every time. That single interview reignited a conversation that Hollywood had tried to bury for years. Because Katt didn't just accuse Diddy, he hinted that the entire system was complicit. He claimed that high-level parties weren't just about networking. They were grooming grounds. And the people who said no, they got blacklisted. Now, all eyes were on the people who didn't say no. Joe Rogan responded publicly, backing up the idea that there's a layer of Hollywood no one talks about. Elon Musk reposted a tweet warning that white celebrities who partied with Diddy were suddenly disappearing from the public eye. Jennifer Lopez, Diddy's famous ex, started trending again, not for her music or acting, but because she's been strangely quiet on the whole thing. She spoke out against Trump, but not a word about the man she once dated, who's now facing multiple lawsuits for some of the most disturbing accusations in modern celebrity history. And just like that, Diddy's party guest list transformed, from a badge of honor into a list of suspects. But there was one person on that list whose sudden silence turned into a full-blown vanishing act. When the Diddy headlines exploded, people expected a flood of reactions from the industry. Denials, statements, maybe even a few defenses. But one of the biggest names connected to the controversy didn't say anything. No press release, no tweet, no subtle post. Steve Harvey just vanished. Within days of Diddy's indictment going public, Steve did something that sent internet sleuths into overdrive. He wiped his social media clean of anything tied to Diddy. Posts disappeared. Tweets from 2017, like the one where he called Diddy "a brother doing good for these kids," quietly got deleted. No explanation, no follow-up, just gone. But that wasn't even the strange part. It turns out Steve wasn't just a friend to Diddy. He had a family tied to him through Lori Harvey, his stepdaughter. Lori famously dated Diddy right after she dated Diddy's son, Justin Combs. That messy public triangle made headlines at the time, but people brushed it off as another tabloid love story. Now, looking back through the lens of Diddy's lawsuits, it feels much darker. Then came the photo. Steve, Lori, and Diddy, all vacationing together in Italy. And in one of the pictures, Lori's wearing white nail polish. That may seem like a non-detail until you realize what it allegedly symbolizes. In Cassie's lawsuit, she claimed Diddy required all the women involved in his parties to wear white nails. According to her, it was for visual contrast in his twisted private recordings. The white polish popped on camera against darker skin tones, creating a specific aesthetic Diddy was obsessed with. Young Miami was seen with white nails. Diddy's own mother. Now Lori. Coincidence? The internet didn't think so. The question now haunting everyone, did Steve know? Did he know about the parties, the rules, the recordings, or was he being played like the rest of us? Or worse, was he willing to look the other way for power, for status, for access? Because at the time, Diddy wasn't just a party guy. He was a billionaire mogul, CEO of Revolt TV, plugged in with top producers and studio execs. Being close to him meant influence. And for someone like Steve, who had built an empire of clean comedy, family values, and public respect, proximity to Diddy could have been strategic. But when things turned ugly, Steve didn't make a stand. He didn't try to defend Diddy. He didn't even issue a vague thoughts and prayers message. He packed up deleted the receipts, and left the country. But Steve wasn't the only one acting nervous. Another high-profile rapper was about to go dark for an entirely different reason. While some celebrities tried to quietly step back from the chaos, Meek Mill went into full ghost mode. No statements, no defense, just silence. And for someone who was once so vocal online, his sudden retreat said more than words ever could. But the internet didn't forget. A resurfaced video began making rounds again, one that people had laughed at for years. In it, Meek is lounging in a pool while Diddy affectionately calls him Daddy. At the time, it was seen as harmless, maybe even playful. But in light of recent revelations, it felt different, unsettling, like a window into a relationship people were never supposed to question.
Hey, what's up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Then came the lawsuit from Lil Rod, one of Diddy's former associates. In it, he accused Diddy of using intimacy as leverage, offering music deals and industry connections in exchange for personal favors. One of the names he mentioned? Meek. According to Lil Rod, Meek wasn't just a protege, he was involved. And when the legal heat started building, Meek did what many accused celebrities do when the walls start closing in. He fled. He boarded a flight to Africa, leaving the US behind just as more allegations were surfacing. On social media, he posted cryptic tweets, one of which said he'd pay $100,000 to anyone who could tell him who was trying to link him to Diddy. That tweet didn't ease the pressure, it poured gasoline on it. Because if Meek had nothing to do with it, why act so paranoid? Why leave the country? Why go silent? The internet, as usual, started digging. Theories popped up claiming Meek may have been caught on footage the feds recovered, possibly in recordings, from Diddy's seized electronics. No confirmation, of course, but the whispers are getting louder. Some insiders claim Meek is in damage control mode, working behind the scenes to cut ties, clear his name, and stay out of court. But every move he makes seems to suggest the opposite, that he's scared, scrambling, and maybe even compromised. Because one thing's for sure, when the Diddy case goes to trial, anyone caught on tape won't be able to hide. And if Meek's silence was suspicious, what came next sent shockwaves through the industry, because it involved a beloved pop star and a disturbing childhood connection to Diddy that nobody saw coming. For decades, Usher has been seen as one of R&B's golden boys, talented, charismatic, clean cut. But now, his long-standing relationship with Diddy is under a microscope, and what people are finding is both disturbing and heartbreaking. It all traces back to the early 90s. When Usher was just 13 years old, he was sent to live with Diddy at what was called Flavor Camp, a mentorship program that on the surface was meant to guide young talent through the music industry. But according to people close to the situation, it was anything but wholesome. Diddy himself has spoken in interviews about their time together, often joking that they'd wake up in bed next to each other. For years, fans laughed. The clips were brushed off as weird but harmless. But now, with multiple lawsuits painting Diddy as a predator, those old interviews feel like breadcrumbs leading to something horrifying. Then came the claim that stopped everyone in their tracks. Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, revealed in an interview that during those early years, Usher was allegedly sent to the hospital with injuries too graphic to describe on air. Deal said Usher was bleeding from somewhere he should never bleed, implying something so disturbing, so violating, that it immediately changed the way people viewed Diddy's past.
If you don't mind me asking, because I know the topic is sensitive, what happened to Usher?
I heard about some music executive from the industry.
What did you hear?
At the time, I didn't know who the F Usher was. You know, Puff sent this little kid to the hospital. How he sent him to the hospital? Man, was bleeding from the butt. And that's what was said.
It was the kind of rumor that had been floating in whispers for years. But now, someone from inside Diddy's camp was putting it out in the open. And even worse, Gene wasn't the only one suggesting something went down. Industry insiders from Harlem, executives who had crossed paths with both Diddy and Usher, began backing up the claims. They didn't name names, they didn't give dates, but their tone said everything. Now, fans are looking back at Usher's entire career through a new lens. His early rise, his affiliations, his silence. And here's the tragic part. Usher has never spoken publicly about these rumors. He hasn't confirmed or denied anything. But the internet is starting to wonder, was his silence a way to move on? Or was it something forced? Either way, the damage may already be done. And if there's any truth to the claims that Usher was a victim, then Diddy isn't just facing lawsuits. He's facing something far darker. But the deeper we go, the more names get dragged in. And the next one might be the most powerful of them all. Just when you thought the names couldn't get any bigger, Ellen DeGeneres enters the picture. At first glance, she seems like an odd addition to the chaos. America's quirky talk show host, a face of daytime TV, a household name for years. But dig a little deeper, and Ellen's sudden moves start raising serious questions. Right after the Diddy scandal went public, something strange happened. Ellen disappeared. No new posts, no paparazzi, no public appearances. Then, a few grainy photos surfaced. Ellen spotted at a quiet pub in rural England, sporting a new haircut, casual clothes, and an entirely different energy. She wasn't vacationing, she was hiding, and it wasn't just fans who noticed. Elon Musk reposted a tweet calling out how many white celebrities were going off the grid after the Diddy news broke. Ellen's name was front and center. Why? Because of her longtime relationship with Diddy. People forgot how close they were. She had him on her show multiple times, joking, laughing, making light of things. In one interview, Ellen playfully grilled Diddy about his famous birthday parties and whether she was invited. Diddy grinned and said yes. Then he added something strange, that the party didn't stop until 3 a.m., and that it moved to the top 2 floors of a hotel. At the time, nobody thought twice. Now, with lawsuits alleging illegal recordings and freak-off after parties, that old clip feels a little too revealing. And then came the kicker, the baby oil. During the raid on Diddy's properties, authorities reportedly found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil. The number shocked everyone. What could anyone possibly need that much for? People immediately flashed back to an old awkward video where Diddy and rapper French Montana are covered in baby oil while Diddy sings happy birthday to him. It was uncomfortable back then. Now it's downright chilling. So, where does Ellen fit in? Well, some insiders are suggesting that Ellen wasn't just friends with Diddy. She might have known more than she let on. Rumors have started swirling online that 2 of Ellen's past romantic partners died under suspicious circumstances. No confirmations, no charges, just strange patterns and silence. And let's not forget her own fall from grace. In recent years, former staff accused Ellen of running one of the most toxic sets in Hollywood. Bullying, intimidation, favoritism. It didn't match the kind-hearted image she portrayed. Suddenly, fans began seeing her not as a cheerful host, but as someone who could be hiding things. Was Ellen part of Diddy's circle? Or was she just close enough to see too much? Either way, she's gone now. Her team says she moved to escape America's energy. But online, people aren't buying it. They think she's running, or worse, hiding before something breaks. And Ellen's not the only one trying to stay out of the spotlight, because as Diddy's secrets continue to leak, other massive names are scrambling to protect their own. As Diddy's legal storm gets more intense, it's not just the accused who are making moves. It's the people who were close to him, the people who attended the parties, posed for pictures, and never asked questions. And now, some of them are vanishing, quietly, subtly, but intentionally. First up, Leonardo DiCaprio. Within days of Diddy's homes being raided, Leo was photographed boarding a private jet headed to Italy with his new girlfriend. His team called it a vacation. But the timing? Suspicious. Because just as Leo's getaway made headlines, old photos from the late 90s resurfaced, showing him hanging out at Diddy's infamous East Hampton mansion. In one interview, Diddy even said,
And I'm sure that's probably not public information yet, but who's the person that's number 1 on that invitation list?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
And I can get on that list,
Yes,
right?
without a doubt, you are invited.
That is so generous of you.
the number 1 at the legendary white parties. Those same events that are now being re-examined for what might have really happened behind closed doors. And suddenly, Leo's casual bond with Diddy didn't feel so innocent. Then there's Ashton Kutcher. Ashton has long been seen as a clean-cut tech guy and former MTV prankster. But his ties to Diddy go deep. They ran the New York Marathon together. He appeared at the 2009 White Party. And there's that infamous Hot Ones interview where Ashton froze the moment Diddy's name came up. He fumbled. He laughed nervously and then said,
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them. There was one moment, so it's not really a party story, but our relationship was really bizarre.
At the time, it felt like typical Hollywood mystery. Now, it feels like a missed confession. And just recently, a new report came out saying that Ashton and his wife, Mila Kunis, are planning to leave Hollywood altogether, not just to step away from fame, but to relocate to Europe and start a new life. Is that coincidence or preemptive damage control? Even Elon Musk has entered the conversation. He's not running, but he is calling people out after reposting a viral tweet about Ellen DeGeneres fleeing the country. No names, no follow-ups, just a digital grenade tossed into the middle of Hollywood. And if Elon's in warning mode, something big is coming. Because all of these exits, all of these disappearances aren't happening in a vacuum. The Diddy case is revealing more than one man's actions. It's exposing a network, a culture of silence, complicity, and mutual protection. And the people who never said no? They're running out of time, but not everyone ran. A few people stood their ground, refused the offers, walked away from millions just to keep their dignity. And their stories, they might be the most important ones of all. Finally, the ones who didn't play along. Terrence Howard recently did a podcast where he dropped a bomb, said Diddy kept inviting him over under the guise of music coaching. But according to his assistant, Diddy was trying to smash. Once Terrence realized what was going on, he ghosted.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to f*** you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room.
And Katt Williams, he turned down $50 million 4 times just to stay clean. Said he was protecting his virgin hole. And he wasn't joking. He also exposed what people call the dress agenda, a Hollywood pattern where black men are pushed into wearing dresses to advance. Martin Lawrence, Kevin Hart, even Chappelle spoke out. And those who said no often vanished or got labeled difficult. Katt didn't play the game, neither did Terrence. And now they're the ones everyone's listening to.
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no.
So, what now? Diddy's trial is coming in May 2025, and if he really starts talking, we might finally learn how deep this web goes. The names, the tapes, the parties, from Steve Harvey to Jay-Z, from Usher to Ellen, nobody's safe, because once the truth starts spilling, it's not just about what Diddy did, it's about who let him. What's your take? Is this the fall of a few powerful men, or the collapse of a whole system? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you're here for the truth, and subscribe for more raw breakdowns just like this. And don't forget, the next video's already loading up on your screen.